All right, with that then, I will officially call the council meeting to order at this time. Has the meeting been properly posted and the roll been taken?
Yeah.
All right. Item number 2 is the Finance Committee and the Common Council joint consideration of the fire department structure. So 2.1 is consider proposal for fire department command structure. And it's also the 9.1 for item for the Finance Committee, so. Anyone care to?
Talk really loud so Paul can hear you on the speaker.
Okay. Good evening. Over the past couple of months, we know that, Fire Chief O'Neill has decided to retire. And Assistant Fire Chief John O'Neill has, decided to resign. Left the fire department in a difficult position, so, we have, talked with the city administrator, we've talked with the Police and Fire Commission. And we talked about how to get the fire department back on its feet and everything. And then part of that was a public safety director. I talked with the mayor, I've talked with Mr. Wilson and Nick. And about possibly me doing that. And I have willfully accepted that if this is something that you folks would want. Part of that is, I would just take care of the administrative functions. I wouldn't be obviously doing any of the operations. That would be the person that the Police and Fire Commission would recommend, or we would make a recommendation and they would approve and we'd start moving forward. I have talked with people that are interested and are willing to do that. That'll be Thursday if this all goes as planned this evening. Again, the idea is just to get the fire department back on course administratively. Operationally, there's no issues down there. They do a great job. Everybody down there does it. Whether it's fire, rescue, or auto accidents, that's not the issue. We talked about what the expectations were. They keep outlining that on the list. I've also spoken with the proposed interim fire chief about how we're going to operate, that we're gonna be open and honest, we're gonna just be factual, there's not gonna be opinions. Unless they're asked, and then we'll give those opinions, but, and we'll start working with, Nick on preparing a budget that's outlined, where there's no surprises. This is what we need, this is what it's gonna be used for, and it'll be up to you folks to decide whether you're going to accept it or not. It'll look a lot like how the police department did it in the last few years and try to get that set up, so over the next year and a half, and try to get it so it's easier process. There is a organizational structure that we gave. I'd be an interim, it'd be public safety director, interim fire chief, interim assistant chief. We're hoping that the interim part will drop off in November and make sure everything's working the way we are planning. We do have 2 captains currently. We anticipate having a captain and a lieutenant's position not filled for the next few months, because we want to evaluate staff before we move them up. And then at the end of the month, we would like to implement the interim assistant fire chief and a lieutenant to get them started, so we can start, once we get them in there, then we start the budget process and get things kind of back to normal. Budget, the budget impact, Nick, thank you for putting it together at the last minute. Nick came over and he had caught something about an hour and a half ago, so pardon me. What I would ask for is increase with the captains and the lieutenants' pay. This process that we're gonna be going through is, they're gonna require them to be more engaged in the budgeting and the running of the department. So I expect they're gonna spend a little bit more time investing in training, budgetary things and helping with discipline. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. Is there any questions I could help answer to maybe make things more clear?
Any questions?
I have a quick question. The public safety director role, will that be 100% then of the focus, or will there be a shared, like, prior role and like a blended two-part role? I guess I'm a little unclear on.
The way I'm seeing it, is the administrative functions of the fire department, I will have 100% control over in the beginning. And I will shift that to the fire chief. So when I retire in a year and a half, everything kind of goes back to police department, fire department. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question?
did.
Okay.
That's the question. Any other questions? If not, are there any questions from council members at this time? I know finance is gonna take up the motion and recommendation first, but anyone from the council have any questions? If not, or the finance, committee, anyone on the finance committee care to make a motion?
Move to approve the creation of the public safety director and the fire department command structure as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second from finance?
Second.
Well. We're at the finance committee is gonna make the recommendation first. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
I'll second.
At least you're paying attention. I appreciate it. Alright. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion by the finance committee? I just would say thank you, chief, for willing to take on a little larger role here. I think through this structure, it helps the department immensely with some of the things that you do really well from a budgetary and administrative level. So they obviously fight fires really well. And as you point out, that's not what you need to oversee. And I think under this allows us to work within the system that we have right now, as opposed to bringing someone completely outside and not knowing the people involved here, not knowing the department at all. And I think this really allows the department to move forward with a lot of the things that you do really well from an administrative level and budgetary, talking about the things that are not just wants, but truly needed, and justifying that. And us as finance committee members and council members, asking questions when the time comes during that budget process, and learning more and working through it. So I appreciate you taking on a little extra role. And we certainly know that while it's still a volunteer department, it's harder and harder to find people willing to sometimes serve. And I think having some compensation to the leadership roles makes a lot of sense. I mean, the council and the finance committee had moved towards kind of that stipend situation in the past when it related to EMS administrative stuff. So I think it makes sense that we see having to make the investment, you know, to what's being proposed. So thank you to Nick and staff for working through those proposed wage levels. And again, thank you for stepping up. That's all I had for discussion. And there's a motion and a second as it relates to the finance committee recommendation. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Oppose, same sign. Now we'll move on to the council. Anyone from the council care to make a motion under 2.1?
So move.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the city council members?
I appreciate Chief Hanson stepping up to the plate, taking over this larger role.
Okay.
Just wanted to reiterate that.
All right, well then there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Then we will move on to item number 10 on the finance committee agenda and item number 3 on the council agenda, which is recessing to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session regarding an offer to purchase city-owned vacant lot on North Fourth Street. Is there a motion to go into closed session? I'll start with the finance committee.
I move to recess to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 parent 1, parent E.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. May we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Seth,
Yes.
Ms. Olson,
Yes.
Mayor Schrader.
Yes.
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 I don't know if you said me, but yes, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, and just hold on real quick, Alderman Wilson, you're next. All in favor of going into closed session signifying, or, well, we voted aye, so, now you got me all mixed up, Alderman Wilson. With that, is there a motion from the council to go into closed session?
I move to recess to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 parent 1, parent E.
There's a motion by council. Is there a second by council? And there's a second. Maybe we have a roll call.
Alderman Square,
Yes.
Alderwoman Seth,
Yes.
Alderwoman Armstrong Garcia,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
All right. We're in closed session.
Joe.